Welcome to Write Now Workshop Podcast, where you can write a book and change the world. I'm your host, Kitty Bucholtz, and this is episode 283, Finding Yourself, an encouraging words episode coming to you on Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022. Yes, my encouraging words episodes are supposed to come out on the first or second Sunday of the month, but it has been a super duper busy year, busy in all the best possible ways. So I'm getting more writing done, more marketing. I have more clients. It's been a really, really good year. And I've even got a little bit of downtime and fun time, which is one of the things that was a big must do in 2022. So it's been a really good year. Now, today, I have already been enjoying the sunshine, watching a movie on Netflix called Long Story Short, which is set where I used to live in Australia. So it already made me think, oh, I have to go see this movie. And listening to an audiobook called Switch on Your Brain by Dr. Caroline Leaf, because you know I'm a total neuroscience nut and I just love that sort of thing. And working on my short story that will be the new freebie for my newsletter, which is called Cherry on Top, which is set during the National Cherry Festival in Traverse City, Michigan, where I spent the first 20 years of my life. So it has been a really good day, full of stories, all kinds of stories, interesting and funny and heartwarming. And that's the thing that I like so much about stories, whether I'm reading, writing, listening, watching movies, or if it's music. I also love stories and music. I find myself, I find the person who I'm like, oh, that person's like me. Or sometimes John and I will be watching something, and sometimes the girl character will just do something silly or crazy or just ridiculous. And John and I just look at each other and laugh. And John, sometimes me at the same time, will say, oh my gosh, it's just like me. It's just like Kitty. And I just think it's really, really fun. I love finding out more about myself. You know, you think that you know yourself, but when I watch other stories, I see the things in myself that I love about me or that I don't like about me. Oh, they do that thing. I don't like it when I do that either. I don't think that makes me a nice person. Or, oh, look at that. I want to be more like that kind of a person or less like that kind of a person. Or I find out more new things that make me laugh or more new things that make me mad. And the things that make me mad, I'm like, oh, that must be something I'm really, feeling strongly about. So then I have to stop and think if I can remember to do that in the middle of a movie. Like, is this something that I want to write about more to help change the world? I'm all about write a book that will change the world. So I like to find out these things about myself. And I also really like to help other people find out who they are in the writing process, in the reading process, just finding out more of who you are. And that's one of the things I loved about this movie, Long Story Short. It's sort of Groundhog Day meets Family Man. So it's kind of a second chances, charming, romantic, sort of sweet movie. And oh my gosh, I loved it so much. I was laughing and crying. And then later, during the credits, I'm looking up all the actors. I'm like, oh, have I seen these people before? I want to watch them again because I just love them. So you know how sometimes you or somebody that there's a word or a verse or a quote that you're like, this is going to be my word or verse or quote for the year. This is what I want to focus on this year. And so for me, I took something from the 4th chapter of Philippians in the Bible, where the reader is encouraged to focus on whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I want that to be more of what's in my life. And in some ways, they touch on that in both Long Story Short, this wonderful film on Netflix that you just must see, and also this fabulous brain book, Switch on Your Brain by Dr. Caroline Leaf. She actually is a neuroscientist for I think 38 years, I saw on Instagram recently. And she's a Christian. So if you've heard me talk about, someday I'm going to write a book about all the things that I'm learning in neuroscience, that I'm like, wait, it says that in the Bible, and connect the two things. I don't have to do that anymore. I didn't realize somebody else had already done it. That would be Dr. Caroline Leaf and Switch on Your Brain. And it's really, really interesting to me. And I really want to help encourage you. Like if you get into this idea of having a word or a verse or a quote that like, this is the focus that I want to have this year, then I encourage you do it. And if you're like, yeah, that's not really my thing, then I'm just encouraging you to look for the things that you're seeing a reflection of yourself in, and ask yourself, like, what is the good part of this reflection that I can reflect more of out into the world? Or if you see something that you're like, oh, I do that too, and I really don't like it when I do that, then it's a great opportunity for us to go, okay, well, how can I do that less? Or how can I change how I see this or think about this or feel about this, so that I change how I act or how I speak in a way that makes me what I think is a better person? We all can only, to some degree, be a better person in the way that we want to be. I want to be better in this way or that way. Like, I'm probably never going to be an activist. That would probably make me a better person, but it's just not a person that I'm probably ever going to be. On the other hand, I really am always looking for ways that I can be more encouraging, more loving, more supportive, to help other people find the thing that just makes them feel like so full of love and energy and joy and peace. Like, that's what I want. I want to help you and all the writers that I know. And I want to help my readers too, to also be having that feeling of awe, like when I just watched this movie. And hopefully I can get some of the awe and also some of the laughs in the writing that I do, which is what I'm working on with Cherry on Top. So here's me saying, where do you see yourself, and where do you feel like you kind of find yourself within this or within that? Maybe give some more thought to it. Try to see whether or not you can focus a little bit more on that this year. See if there is something where you're like, okay, this is going to be my focus this year. And I'm not exactly sure how in my life and in my writing I'm going to try to focus more on what is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy. But it's my goal. I want to try to put some of this into my writing, put some of this into my podcasting, put some of this into my coaching, put some of this out into the world where my friends and family are. And I'm also starting today, in fact, doing a new promotional vehicle for authors, and also really, really fun for readers, called Author Reading Room. And the kind of the idea of that is that, like, when I sometimes, not always, I go to a webinar and I'm getting all this really great information. I'm like, this is really helpful. And then the last 20 minutes is sell, 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 sell. And I'm like, I understand that's the cost. It's the free webinar, and the cost is that you need to listen to my sales pitch. But I was like, okay, I don't really love that kind of sales. Like, I know that it's just the way we do things right now. And I was trying to think of, like, what can I do that makes me just really happy and gives people an opportunity to buy something if they see something they want. Like when you go to the grocery store or when you go to the carnival, like, you don't have to buy anything, but if you see something you want, then it's like, oh, here it is. So, like, another place where I just sort of found my space in the world has to do with getting authors together, and like starting today will be the very first one. So I should put a link in here so that you can find it. I'll put a link in the show notes here. And it's going to be 4 to 6 authors, all in more or less the same genre, reading from their books for about 10 minutes each. And then readers can ask them questions like, is that a real town? And how did you make the character sound so whatever the character is? And just asking any kinds of questions. And then without like pushing to buy anything, just put the links to everything in the chat. So if you want to go to this person's website or sign up for their newsletter or click on the buy button for the book that they just read, great. And if not, it's just a great time to have some tea or hot chocolate or a glass of wine, depending on what time it is where you are, and listen to authors read from their books and chat with, and it's all on Zoom. So it's not like like a webinar, because that's what I was like, webinars are good, but I really like to be with people. And of course, here in Sweden, I can't really be with people in the US where most of my readers are, or in Australia, or really I can't be with anybody outside of, where I personally am. So I was like, if we do something on Zoom, then everybody can kind of like be there all together in the room, just like when we used to meet at a bookstore and listen to an author reading. So that's my big, exciting, fun idea. That is one of those things where I was asking myself, what makes me happy? What would be fun for me if I were going to go or if I were going to do it? And yeah. So what would be fun for you in your life? Like what brings out more of the you that is you? Like I'm always like, okay, what's a more kitty thing that I could do? So that is my encouragement today. Finding yourself in what you're reading, writing, doing, ideas that you're coming up with, ways that you can focus your whole life, throughout the whole year. That's what I wish for you today. So have a fantastic day. I hope that your mind is filled with all sorts of ideas already and all sorts of great positive energy, and that you're focused on what brings you joy and peace so that you can work more within the realms of things that are not stressful, but make you happy and still move you forward towards your goals in life. So that's me coming out to you. Big hug. I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy writing, and we'll see you again soon.